Welcome back to Living for His Glory podcast. We have a repeat guest with us today. It's our second repeat guest, Evan Davis. If you've been listening ever since June, you know who Evan Davis is. Evan was our second episode back when I've been doing this consistently now. You're an OG, and I remember when that episode came out, our video quality was a little fuzzy. It's not the best now, but it's a lot better.
Hey, I'm honored to be here the two-time now. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you having me on again.
The two-time guest, Evan Davis. You've been making your rounds on the podcast this past year, haven't you?
For some reason, people have asked me to be on their podcast, and I don't know why. But I've been on a couple since last time I was on with you.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
got the ball rolling on that.
Yeah,
For me, I guess.
100%. Well, I do my best. I try. Several of my guests are first time being on the podcast, but
You got to start somewhere.
got to start somewhere, right? Absolutely. But no matter what, each conversation has been amazing. Every conversation I had with you offline is also just equally amazing. And that's why I had you keep coming back, right? And you're just an amazing guy to talk to, amazing guy to learn from. You got some amazing nuggets of wisdom, and I'm really excited to get into today. I know last time we went into a bit about your story, right? We talked a lot about that. Talked a lot about golf, struggles with that. I don't know what kind of advancements you've made professional golf-wise, how things are going on the mini tours for the start of a new season, a new year. What tournaments do you have coming up?
So my next event is in 2 weeks down in South Georgia. I currently have a little bit of a back tweak, so I'm currently not doing too much other than resting and just trying to get all healed up and getting all prepared for that as best as I can.
Absolutely.
But on the Lord's timing, so.
Absolutely. Your body can only hit 330 bombs for so long before it starts to break down.
That's what I'm trying to prevent, is it breaking down. But
yeah,
hopefully we'll be all healed up and good, ready to go in a couple weeks.
Absolutely. We will be praying for you, brother. We will be praying for you in that tournament, and
Thank you.
that you are fully healed for it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I told you this before, but I had a few people say, hey, this is a really good topic that you should bring on the podcast. And initially it was for the guys that we had on last week, Trevor and Dragan. But we decided to pawn it off to another episode. And so I decided to do that with good old Evan Davis.
All right.
Who better than Evan Davis, in my opinion? Today we're going to be getting into loving your enemies plus forgiveness. And I think that there is a lot of opportunities to do both of those things in the world today.
100%.
Yeah, every single day I think that somebody gives us the opportunity to do that, whether it's some random person cutting us off in traffic, whether it be somebody saying something that's a joke and just came across the wrong way, whether it be a situation completely blowing up, friendships being lost. It can be on a wide scale of things that we need to forgive, that we need to love our quote-unquote enemies, and maybe not even quote-unquote enemies, maybe some real enemies that we need to love and that we need to forgive. And I'd love to hand things off to you in regards to that. What are your thoughts? What's really helped you in situations where you've maybe had an enemy or where you've really needed to forgive somebody, but it's been a struggle for you, and where you eventually were able to succeed in doing that?
Yeah. One of the hardest things to say is I'm sorry, and also I forgive you. Those are two sentences that we as humans, our pride gets in the way, and it's really hard to say I'm sorry and I forgive you.
Yeah.
But I think definitely coming from like a Christian standpoint and like a biblical standpoint is like just knowing how much God has forgiven us. And I'm not perfect by any means. Like all of us, if we're all being honest, at some points in life, we hold grudges against people, or we have a hard heart towards somebody. And sometimes it's even the closest people in our lives that we hold the grudges against and we're slow to be forgiving on. But like at the center of forgiveness, I think, and granted, I'm no like biblical scholar or anything. I just love Jesus a lot. But I think at the center of forgiveness, when you look at it, it's like when you look at the cross, that's the whole point of forgiveness. It's like when I look at the cross, it's like Jesus didn't die on a cross. Jesus didn't die on the cross. He died on my cross. And like at the end of the day, I was the one supposed to be on that cross. I'm the one that has sinned against God. but God loved me so much that he put his perfect lamb, his one and only son, on my cross, so I didn't have to endure that. And then when you really take a step back and look at it from God's eyes, it's like, Lord, you have forgiven me for so many things. And like at the end of the day, God is holy and I am not, because I have sinned and sinned against him. And when you take a step back and look at that, who am I to not forgive another human if God has already forgiven me? There have been many moments in my life where somebody has said something that's made me mad or frustrated me, or there's been many moments where somebody has done something on accident and I'm just like upset at them or just annoyed with them. But in those moments...
I'm sorry for that, by the way.
No, you're perfect, Luke. You're perfect.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far.
But really just taking a step back and being like, Lord, I really don't like how hard my heart is towards this person. And it's almost just like a simple little prayer, Lord, just soften my heart. And whether that's just saying the really hard thing of, hey, I forgive you, or hey, I'm sorry for what I did, because I know I need a lot of grace for a lot of things I've done too. So
yeah, when you opened up with, it's really hard to say that I'm sorry, and then you said it's really hard to say that I forgive you. And I really found that the order of that interesting when the question I asked was, how are you forgiving others? How are you loving your enemies? And the first thing you said was, I am sorry. In certain situations, especially those big ones, those where there's a lot of pain, or there's a lot of broken relationships, you don't get into those situations by one party being perfect and the other party messing everything up.
oh, for sure.
There's maybe one party that messes things up more, but they're still both parties engaging in wrongful things, saying things that they shouldn't say, doing things that they shouldn't have done. That just makes the mess so much worse. Yeah. And it's really easy when you're angry to lose sight of the Spirit, to not be filled by the Spirit, to not operate in the Spirit anymore. And Jesus was the exception of when he got angry, he was still operating in the Spirit just because he was the perfect being that he was, yeah, and that he still is today. And so I'm wondering, if you're in a situation where, of course, you may have messed up in certain regards, but where somebody else may have messed up more or wronged you more, at least to your perception, I'm really curious about what is your approach to that situation. We talked about, in CGF a couple weeks ago, we talked a lot about anger. We've been going through the Sermon on the Mount. Yeah. And so we've gotten to that section, I think it's Matthew 5:21 through 26, talking about anger. And it's just talking about, the command you have heard, do not murder. But if you're angry with your brother, you're brought before the court. And so he's matching not just the action, but the heart posture. Yeah. And it's really easy to have that heart posture. And so just thinking about when you have that heart posture, anger towards somebody, someone that may have wronged you, what keeps you centered? What keeps you spirit-filled to love that person, to forgive them, and maybe even, if necessary, to reach out to reconcile?
Good question. To be quite honest, I'm not perfect in the aspect in the life of forgiveness, because honestly, I know my own tendencies, and most of the time, if somebody does something wrong to me, I'm the type of guy just to keep the peace and be like, oh, it's okay, and throw it under the rug and not really bring up, not really confront, hold accountable what happened. So that's definitely one thing that I need to work on in my own self, is speaking truth. I speak truth, but sometimes when somebody does something wrong, it's really hard to speak truth, to be like, hey, you did that wrong to me, and call them out. But it's just, I think what love is a mixture of truth and grace. My church growing up, they always really reiterated those are the two things of what love is. Speaking truth and living out grace. And I really think when somebody does something wrong, when somebody wrongs you, the best thing you can do is speak truth to them and speak grace to them. Be like, hey, what you did was wrong to me. It made me feel like X, Y, and Z, hurt my feelings, but I love you, I forgive you, and let's make peace. So that's definitely something I need to work on, because most of the time I just like, if you did something wrong to me, like the next day I saw you or something, I'd be like, oh, like, just try to be buddy and like just act like nothing happened almost.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's not the most loving thing to you, because you can't improve as a godly man. And then also with that, just like for my own personal self, that doesn't really fix all the feelings that I got going on inside of me.
Yeah. And then you're going to start to hate me. And I'm going to be like, what did I do to Evan?
What did I do? You don't even know me.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm like, I love Evan. I don't know what happened. Yeah. That's a really good, and that's something that I ask because I also struggle. And I think that all people to some extent struggle with that. It's easy to be buddy. It's easy to be like, it just doesn't matter. But that kind of thing, it just eats at you. Inevitably, it blows up as it does.
Yeah.
And I think when we know that we've wronged somebody, if you're a mature person, if you've messed up, if you've hurt somebody, if you've wronged them to whatever extent, I think if you're a mature person, it's easy to be like, I'm sorry, man. I shouldn't have done that. That's me. That's what I do. If I know I messed up, if I said something to you and I didn't know I hurt you, and you came up to me the next day, hey, man, I just didn't appreciate that. I'd be like, man, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Dude, I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to try not to do that again. But if I do that again, correct me.
Yeah.
And like, that's the kind of guy I am. That's the kind of level that I approach people with. I think that's the best way to love them. Not invalidate their feelings. I may not have seen anything wrong with what I said, but if you did, like, it's just not worth losing our relationship.
Yeah.
And so I'll apologize, I'll repent, and I'll make sure I'm more conscious and do better the next time.
Yep.
But going back to that situation of if somebody's really wronged you, and they're not coming to apologize, either because of their own hubris or they don't think that they wronged you. Yeah. And you've brought it up to them. And you say, hey, man, I didn't like this. I didn't appreciate this. I think you wronged me. And they didn't care. Yeah. And they didn't see it that way. And there's all of a sudden this disconnect and this tension there. And I don't know how to resolve that. Yeah. What would be your approach to resolve that? I don't know if you've been in that situation before, but there's an interesting and weird tension there. How does that get resolved?
That is a really deep and good question. Because it's just like what Jesus says, love your enemies. And what does that mean? It means to love them. And I feel like you really just got to dive into prayer. You really got to dive in to the Word. You really got to dive in and be like, Lord, how can I love this person? Or how do you want me to love this person in this situation? And that's the beautiful thing about having a relationship with Christ, is like His Holy Spirit will tug at your heart, will tell you, will guide you through those situations, through those instances. And every situation is going to be a little bit different. And it's just like you need to pray for the wisdom on how to love your enemies. And I think it's really funny, like in the Bible, I don't know the exact verses, but in Proverbs, there's back-to-back verses that says something to the extent of, talk to a fool and he will learn his corrections, or something like that. I'm probably messing that up. But the second verse right after that is, don't talk to a fool because you're wasting your breath, or something like that. It's along those lines. I need to find the exact verses and read them. But like, just praying for the wisdom in each situation on what should I do, how should I love my enemy. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is just taking a step back. And sometimes the most loving thing that you can do is being bold. And because at the end of the day, what you talked about earlier is like, Jesus got mad in the temple.
Yeah.
But that was a loving thing. Like, what he did was loving. But like, from a human perspective, anger is always not loving. But in that situation, it is. I'm not saying go get mad at your enemies. But I'm just saying, in certain situations, you just need the wisdom from God of, Lord, what do I need to do? How should I love him or her? And, yeah.
And his temple, like God's temple, was being corrupted by the marketplaces, by the sellers, by people trying to make a quick buck. And Jesus saw the disrespect toward his Father and got rid of them. Yeah. That was what made him so angry. It wasn't a selfish anger. It wasn't an anger of somebody rubbed me the wrong way, now I'm going to bring out the whip and crack. It's, you're disrespecting my Father. You're disrespecting my Father's house, my Father's temple, and driving the corruption and driving the disease out of his Father's temple.
Yeah.
And so where is that anger placed? Like, the law is there to correct our actions, but Jesus is here to correct our hearts. And the law was just the method before Jesus of how to do that. Where is it in the Bible that says a righteous man doesn't have to worry about the law? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
I might be butchering that, but it's not saying that if you're a righteous man, the laws don't apply to you. It's if you're a righteous man, you're just going to follow the law.
Yeah.
You won't have to know the law, because if you're a righteous man, you just will follow it. And so if Jesus has changed your heart to make you a quote-unquote righteous man, because none of us are perfectly righteous the way that he was perfectly righteous, then you won't. Then the law almost becomes it almost becomes something that's there, but something you don't even have to think about because you're already following it. You're already there, simply because you're a righteous man. Your heart's been changed. Your heart's been purified, and that kind of thing. I've learned in my theology class this semester this phrase, intimacy with God, being spirit filled, and it's really taken on life in my life.
Yeah.
What does it mean to keep my face turned toward God, turned to the Spirit? How does that change the way I behave?
Yeah.
How does that change the way that I think? And the clarity that brings has been awe-inspiring this semester. And I still get in trouble with my words. Sometimes I still say some things.
We all do.
Yeah, that I just shouldn't say.
And it's just like in James, it's like the hardest thing to control is our tongue.
Yes, it is.
If we could control our tongue, everything else would be controlled.
It would be. James is my favorite book of the Bible for a reason, and it's because it comes after me. Yeah. Taming the tongue, it comes after me. Faith without works is dead, that comes after me.
Yeah.
Like the theology of James, like, how shall I live now?
Yeah.
Like, because I have this heart change. Now what should I do?
Yeah.
I look for a lot of what should I do. It's funny. Me and Gray were talking. They know Gray. I had him on late in December, early in January. Good. I think it may have been the first. I think he was the first episode of January. Good. Gray was. I love him. And
shout out Gray.
Shout out Gray. Shout out Gray Golf. He's a baller. He stood me up for Baja the other week. He did. He stood me up.
No way.
We were supposed to meet on a Friday night after practice for Baja, and I texted him. I said after practice, I was like, "All right, when are we going?" He goes, "Dude, I meant to text you. I'm going home for spring break." And I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!" And then his whole team was back for CGF that Wednesday, except for Gray. And I'm like, "Where are you?" He goes, "I'm at the gym," and I'm like, "You skipped the CGF for gym? Get out!" But he said something funny around that time when we were recording. I think he actually did say this on the podcast. He called me a very type A kind of person. And I smiled at that because I've not gotten that a lot. Yeah. Most people would not say that I'm type A. They say I'm type B. Yeah. I think that there's that mix of my personality is type B, but my mind thinks in type A ways just because I'm a competitor. I'm trying to get better. Golf has been huge for that. Yeah. Of being strategic. How do I get better? This and this needs to happen. Like those kinds of things. And so like that, but that's the version of me that Gray sees more. He sees the competitor. He sees the hard worker. He sees that version. And yes, the type B, the fun personality, but he's thinking about the mindset, type A mindset. And so I'm always trying to figure out, what do I do? Like, this is the best course of action. This is what I need to do. And something that I've learned about this intimacy with God thing, the being spirit-filled thing, we're talking about the command of loving your enemies. Okay, and the natural question, how do I do that? Yeah. How do I love my enemies? And you said that every situation's different. There's no like really right or wrong, like you should always do this. And there's certain things I'm sure that provide structure, maybe an outline. But in terms of you should always do this, it should always be done this way. That's not what happens, because there's different situations, there's different kinds of people. You're a unique human being in your own right. And it just circles back to, and it's almost vague. What kind of intimacy do you have with the Father? Yeah. How are you being spirit filled? And if you have that, then you will be able to love your enemies to the best of your ability, to the best ability that God gives you to do. Because loving your enemies, it's just not a human capacity that we have. Yeah, we don't have it.
That's why we need Christ to.
That's right.
Love through us. And ultimately, it's for His glory.
It is. Living for His glory. There we go. It's for His glory. We're living for His glory. Like, these are the conversations that make me think about that question. Like loving my enemies, that's living for God's glory.
Yeah.
How do I do that?
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
The human will, I think I try to think too heavy on the human will. I rely on it a little bit too much, which is starts with a P. What I don't remember. My theology professor called me out on it. Polynarism, maybe? I don't remember.
That's a big word.
It is. It's theology. There's some big words in there.
There's a lot of big words there.
But basically, it follows the train of thought of the human will is strong enough. It's almost to its extreme. It's you can will yourself to holiness, will yourself to heaven, and that's just not the case.
You cannot earn your way into heaven.
No, you can't. I've tried to will my way out of a lot of bad stuff I knew was bad for me, and it just never worked. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like I tried to will my way out of my anger. I tried to will my way into loving my enemies. I tried to will my way out of addiction. I tried to will my way to the winner's circle, which is that's a different kind of issue, isn't it? It's not a sin issue, but I've tried to will my way into a lot of things in life.
Yeah.
I tried to will my way into a D1 college.
Yeah.
And I failed. Just straight up, I failed.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how much God had me in that. How much God was like, you don't need to go to a D1 college. I got you right here. I got you right here.
Yeah.
But we know where our willpower comes up short. And so when our willpower comes up short, and it's like, I want that. I want to achieve that. How can I achieve that? I'm trying everything I can. I've got all the willpower in the world. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
That's the gap that God fills. That's the gap that God steps in for. And so that's the gap that's like when you are spirit filled, it now becomes possible. Not because of anything that me and you did, Evan, but because of something that God did.
Yeah.
I really love William Cain's, the way he puts it. Yeah. We are dead in our trespasses against sin. I always love it when he busts out that line.
Yeah.
He ties into the gospel so well every week.
Yes, he does.
He does.
I remember the good old Bible studies in Nashville with...
Yeah, well, Mr. Cain. William Cain, if you're watching this, we love you. We love you. We love you a lot.
I miss you.
Oh, I miss you. We do miss you. Oh, Evan Davis hadn't seen you. Probably hadn't seen you. Oh, Will in a while, huh?
No, I have not seen Will since probably 4 years, honestly.
Man, it's a long time to go without that, man.
I know. I can feel it.
But that's good. I'm curious about just application-wise, like where does that show up in life? Just day to day, not even just the big events. I know I've mentioned some big events that may have happened that made things really difficult, but even the day to day, what does loving your enemies and forgiveness look like for you?
Yeah, because honestly, like every day, somebody's gonna say something that upsets you. Somebody's gonna say something that rubs you the wrong way, and honestly, like you just have to learn how to pray through all those things. And it's just like in 1 Corinthians 13, the very first thing that God says that love is patient.
Yes, it does.
And I think if you can pray and just have the Lord prune his patience fruit in you, that helps so much with loving your enemies every day and just loving, because even our girlfriends, our wives, our best friends, our families, our parents, our brothers and sisters, like people will say something pretty much every day that's like, I didn't really like that, or that rubbed me the wrong way, but you just really, to love somebody well is to be patient. And every day, I think that's definitely something I need to pray more in my own personal life every day, is just, Lord, bring your patience through me today. So I think that's a really good first step. And then the second thing is love is patient, love is kind. And like every day, just if you can be patient and kind every day, I think that's loving people like Jesus really well.
Yeah. You just hinted at next week's episode, by the way.
Which is?
I went through 1 Corinthians this semester with a mentor of mine. His name's Isaac Thrasher. He's also going to be a repeat guest.
Good.
So I'm going another two-timer. We had him on in February. We talked about Daniel.
Okay, yeah.
Daniel's incredible. Not this past February, but the 2025 February.
Okay.
Back when things were a little inconsistent on my end.
That's okay.
But that was a really good episode. And so we are going to talk about that, like for that 1 Corinthians 13 is really, I feel like, the heart of the of First Corinthians. Yeah. I know it's towards the end, but you can see where it shows up throughout the chapter, where that mindset, that heart posture shows up throughout the chapter. So I'm really excited to get that in with him, and I appreciate the foreshadowing.
Anytime.
Yeah, you didn't even know.
The Lord's timing.
Yeah, oh yeah. And that's going to be awesome. If you're listening now, you should be listening 1 week from right now to this amazing episode. Yeah, 1 Corinthians 13 is such an amazing, it is the example of what love is. It's the descriptors. If you're a type A personality guy, like people think, like Gary thinks I am, you're looking at these things, okay, it's not this, it's not this, it's not this. But it's such an amazing tool because you get to see our love is patient. Where am I not patient in life? Or where am I patient in life? Yeah. I think those are two, like we think about where do we lack. I think one is also think about where do we have. If we spend too much time thinking about what we lack, we ignore we forget what we have, and if we forget what we have, then we are starting to forget our worth.
There's a balance for sure.
So I asked myself the two questions: where do I have patience? Where do I not have patience? Yeah. Later it says, "Love is not rude." Where am I rude? Where am I not rude? Where is this balancing act? Like trying to measure, and where can I love better? And it's not going into, okay, I wasn't patient here. Next time I'm going to be patient here. I think that's a good way to think about it, but I think there's a better way to think about it.
Yeah.
God, where can you make me more patient? Yeah. Because if your human will came up short and allowing you to be patient in that moment, the chances are you're going to come up short again when you're in that same position.
100%. Yeah.
So God, where can you change my heart to be more patient? Where can you fill my spirit to be patient in this scenario? Where can you fill my spirit to not be rude in this scenario? Yeah. Where was I rude? And what in my heart made me rude? And can you change that in me, Lord?
Yeah.
That's incredible. I think that's just a great way to approach it. That's the way I approached it when I read through it a few weeks ago. And it was just incredible.
100%. And you can do that with the fruits of the Spirit as well.
Yes, you can. Just and that's Galatians, isn't it?
Yep.
Galatians 5. It's Galatians 5.
Lord, how's my love? Lord, how's my joy? Then my peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control.
Oh, yeah.
And you can do that same thing with that, too.
Yes, you can.
Heart checkup.
Oh, yeah. I'm not on my phone ignoring you.
No, you're good.
So I am looking up John 13. We're going to the 13th chapter a little bit here. We went 1 Corinthians 13,
there we
John
go,
13. Do you remember John 13? Jesus washing his disciples' feet. Yeah. So I had this professor about a month ago. I went to him and just had some really heavy stuff on my heart. Yeah. Some struggling, some really tough situations, difficulties. Yeah. And he said, I want you to go through the next week, and every single day this week, read John 13. Just one time, every day. Think through it, of course, but get into it. Read it. If you read a chapter every day for 7 days, you're just going to get it. You're going to stop skimming, and you're really going to dig deep. Yeah. I was one verse into it, and I already started breaking down. I got already through a right hook. You connected right in my jaw, and I was like, we're one verse into this. And it says, now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come to depart out of this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. He loved them to the end. And this is setting up right before he washed his disciples' feet, which is often used as this is the example of love. Jesus washed his disciples' feet. And there's a lot of background into washing feet. Feet? They're stinky. They're messy. They didn't have great drainage systems. Yeah. They didn't have closed-toed shoes. They just had open sandals. And so feet were nasty. There's a lot of power and symbolism in that. Yeah. Even more so when you remember that Judas was sitting around this table at the time. Yeah. And Jesus knew who was going to betray him.
Yeah, he knew.
He was a smart guy. So Jesus watched Judas's feet knowing what Judas was about to do. Yeah. And he says that having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. Mm-hmm. Judas was present in that. Judas wasn't just present when Jesus actively washed his feet. So actions are in a lot of ways a reflection of our own heart. Yeah. And so when Jesus washed Judas's feet, he loved them. He loved his disciples. He loved Judas, and he loved them until the end. Yeah. He loved Judas after Judas kissed him and gave him over to the Roman guards. Jesus loved Judas while he was on the cross, while he was walking the streets, while the crown of thorns was being not placed on his head, but shoved into his head, while he was being whipped. And he was only one whip away from death. I think they gave him 39 lashes. I think 40 lashes is the number of until you're dead. And carrying that tree, and then got placed upon that tree, Jesus loved Judas even then, right until the end.
Yeah.
What does that look like for us?
Yeah.
That heart position that Jesus had, it's fascinating.
Yeah. It's not worldly.
No, it's not. It's just not. It's not an action that you can just go and choose to do.
Yeah.
It's something you must be spirit-filled to do.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And it's just, I don't know where this exact verse is, but it's just, there's a verse that says, and we were enemies of God. It might be in Romans.
Probably, that sounds like a
It
Romans.
does sound like a Romans, but it's like, okay, if I was an enemy to God Almighty, creator of all things, and he decided to love me, and I'm human, shouldn't I be called to love other humans? But in our pride and our selfishness, sometimes we choose the latter. But,
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
You ever hear hurt people? That old phrase?
Yeah.
It's the same. Like, people that are loved love people. And like you talked about, God loves us. And if we are... And just because God loves us doesn't mean that we receive that love. And if we don't receive that love, then we're still living as hurt people.
Yeah.
And so when you receive that love and you gain that kind of intimacy with the Father, when you receive God's love, you receive his Spirit.
Yeah.
And so when you receive that and you accept that, and now because you have known that love and have received that love, it's just natural to give out that love.
Yeah.
I see you give out that kind of love every time I see you. I'm serious. Every time I cannot see you without you, the big old smile on your face, Luke Barrett. I can't. Yeah. I've never known that from you. I've never known you to look at me and even just like grin, like what's up. You just know. You stop what you're doing. You go give me a dap up, like you shake my hand, whatever, and like you just have so much love and spirit flowing out of you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's all the good Lord, that is for sure.
Absolutely. And that's the other thing. It doesn't come from you. It doesn't come from your own human willpower. Yeah. It comes from the Spirit that God gave you. It's just flowing out of you. Yes. God's Spirit's so big, how could it not?
100%. And this is a little off track, but I think it just shows it ties into a little bit to what we were just talking about. But there's a church service a while ago, but me and my girlfriend were talking about it, and the most loving thing that a husband or a dad can do to his kids is show how to love his wife.
Yes.
And that ties in so much to God's love for us. And it's like, he's a perfect father. And just how much that he loves us, it's like, man, it should move our hearts, should move our lives to love everybody well. Mm-hmm. But we're all human, and if it was based off on our own power, we would not do a very good job with that. But yeah, like with Jesus and with his Spirit in us, helping us out, we can do a lot of great things through him.
Yeah, I love that illustration of the Father and showing his Son. I have this coach. He's more of a mentor than he is a coach, but he posted something on his social media of like, fathers want their sons to be tough, but their sons never seen them do hard things, and there's a lot of truth to that. But also, especially to tie into what we're talking about, I think a good father wants their son to be loving toward others. He wants them to be at peace with them. He doesn't want there to be a lot of fighting. He doesn't want people to be at odds with his son. Yeah. But that son may have never seen his father be loving with somebody else. He might get back from school, see his father get home, and hear his father complain about his coworkers, say some nasty things about them, treat his mom not the best, whatever form that may be. He has not seen his father be loving, and so when his father tells his son to be loving, they don't know what to do. They're like it's picking up on what is seen and not heard. Yeah. Like it's just the saying that do what I say, not as I do. I'm like, that's a terrible excuse for a parent. Yeah. You can't expect a kid. It is an excuse. You can't expect a kid to do that. No. Yeah. That's what's so cool about our Heavenly Father. Not only do we not have an example of him not being loving, and it's not even that we haven't seen him do anything. He's done more than just tell us by his law. He has shown us in the person of Jesus Christ how to love. 100%. What it means to be love. Yep. Showing up in love
Yeah.
And it's incredible what our Father has shown us about how to live this out, what that looks like. Jesus made a lot of enemies in his time.
Yeah, that's true.
That's one of the things that brought him to the cross. In every example, we see Jesus loving them.
Yeah, 100%. You talking about that reminded me of a story I heard at church one time. It's a kind of dark story, but it just shows love at the end of it. But
yeah,
it was in this rural town. There was a guy who went and it was him and his wife, and he went and shot up an elementary school. And the area that they were in, it was very like a high population of Amish people. And he shot up the school and then took his own life. And later that night, like the wife was just like crying in her room, had no clue what was going on, no clue what was going to happen. And at night there was like an Amish couple that like showed up at her front door and knocked on the door, and she was like, I can only imagine what they're going to say to me, because they found out that I was married to this guy. And she opened the door, and the couple said, we were falling asleep tonight crying but holding each other, and we realized that you didn't have somebody to hold you, so we just came. And and the Amish couple lost their only kid at the school shooting, and so they went to the wife's house and was just like, we realized that you didn't have somebody hold you to fall asleep tonight, so we just came. And I'll never forget that story, because it's just, wow, that is exactly what Jesus would have done. And yeah,
man, that's cool. That is really good.
yeah.
I heard a similar situation where there's this, I don't think he shot up a school or anything, but he was like a serial killer.
Yeah.
Killed a lot of people, and so he's brought in front of the court, he's convicted, and the families of the victims are just ripping him. They're going at him.
Yeah.
And then an old man that stands up, I guess it was his daughter maybe that got killed by this guy.
Yeah.
And he said, there's a lot of people here that hate you, that may hate you. I'm not one of them. And while you have made it difficult, I forgive you. And my faith, right, that kind of thing.
Man.
And the news reporter, I remember, broke it down as the showing of human kindness. And I'm thinking, that's not human kindness.
It's not human kindness.
No, it is not.
It's the love of Jesus.
Yes, it is. If it was human kindness, we'd see that a lot more, but we don't.
Yeah.
That kind of kindness, that kind of love, that kind of forgiveness, there's nothing human about it. That's divine.
Yeah.
That's spirit-led kindness. That's spirit-filled love. The human image has been tainted. I've been taught, at least in the Wesleyan tradition, sees it as a disease more than a corruption of one's own humanity per se.
Yeah.
But no matter what way you look at it, the human image has been corrupted. It's been tainted to the point to where that kind of forgiveness, it's not human. We've been corrupted past that point of it being human.
Yeah.
And so when you have that, it's God overriding the disease. It's God overriding the sinful nature. It's God overriding the corrupted view, the corrupted image of humanity that we now are.
Yeah.
And it is living in His Spirit. And it's in a lot of ways being fully human. That's what we were meant to be as humans.
Yeah.
And by God's grace, He fills us and He allows us to be that. He allowed that man to be that.
Yeah.
Gosh, what a story. That really reached my heart. Yeah.
Love does that sometimes.
It does. Yeah, absolutely. It does. To me, love has taken the form of, I like the word belonging. I belong somewhere. There's been a lot of times in my life I didn't feel like I belonged. That's because I'm an interesting human being, Evan. I don't.
We're all unique.
Yeah, 100. And I just, especially growing up, I felt a little bit extra unique. When it may have just been the warped perception of a teenager, right? Of maybe some victimhood I placed on myself. But I go to Nashville, and it's continued. And I thought it would change. I thought I would leave everything behind and all of a sudden belong, and all of a sudden have just start new. And it, honestly, in a lot of ways, was worse. And so I was thinking, like, where does this get better? What happens? I was just lost. And then slowly but surely I started finding places where I felt that belonging, that love. Found it at the church that I'm at down there.
What a blessing.
It is a blessing. I've started finding it with, like, more and more with my teammates as God has been changing me. God's been renewing me. Yeah. And so what that couple did for that woman, I think it reminded me of belonging.
Yeah.
It reminded me of, hey, like, your husband did this, but we still belong together as a whole, as God's children. And so like, that kind of compassion, it doesn't come from our own thoughts. They never would have thought that. Like, they were going to sleep and then God rocked them. Yeah. Hey, this woman, she's alone too. She's crying too. She probably had no idea. She didn't have any idea. Yeah. And that couple listened, and they came, and they were there, and they showed up.
Show love boldly.
They did. They really did. And that's such a compelling story. It really is. Yeah. To be seen like that.
Yeah.
I have an example. My teammate, sorry, I'm talking a little bit, but that's
this is
good conversation.
This is great, I know.
About a month and a half ago, I was going through a really hard time. And so I showed up to practice on Thursday, and the day before was just one of my worst days ever. And we're just going to leave it at that. Yeah. So I showed up to practice on Thursday, and I was a little bit quieter. I was kind of at the end of the range. I wasn't disconnected from the team because I got next to me, but I was
a little bit more isolated.
Yeah, I definitely was isolated all the way at the end of the range. I wasn't really talking, wasn't really joking. I also just had some pain because I bruised my tailbone.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and it turned into an infection, which is its own story. Yeah. But it was just some really, like, I was feeling it emotionally, mentally, physically. Like, I was in a wreck that day. Yeah. And I'm on my way back home just because the ice storm's getting ready to hit. Yeah. And so I just decided I was just going to miss Friday classes. I don't think we had practice on Friday, so I didn't have a team obligation. And so I'm driving home, and my teammates, and if he's listening to this, thank you so much. You know who you are. He texts me, and I have not always been friends with this guy. We've had our differences. Yeah. We are two very different human beings. Yeah. He's a lot more introverted, more cautious with his words. I'm not. Yeah. And he texted me. He goes, "Hey, look, man, I noticed you were down. I noticed that you were a little different. And I know we bite and poke at each other, whatever. And it's become a lot more friendly. But I know we bite and poke at each other, but I never want to see my extrovert with his head down." And he told me that he loved me. And so all of a sudden, the lines on the road started getting blurry. I don't know if it was because it was dark.
Your eyes were sweating.
Yeah, my eyes were sweating. I don't know. Like, it's just allergies have started to creep in there in the dead of January.
Those allergies hit hard in January.
Yeah. Oh, they do. It's the worst season for them.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
But that kind of, I see you and I love you enough, I'm going to reach out and tell you that I love you and let you know that I love you and encourage you. Yeah. Try to keep your head up to the best that I can. Reached me on such a deep level. Yeah. And I think if we looked around and we had that kind of heart to do that, this teammate of mine, he's not the most devout Christian. He goes to CGF every once in a while, goes to church every once in a while. But that kind of love that came from him, it supersedes, I would say, the majority of Christians that show up to church every Sunday, that come to Bible studies. Yeah. It says, and I think right before it goes into love is this and this, before I think it says, if you know all principalities, if you have all the knowledge in the whole universe, know everything about God and all these different kinds of things, have all knowledge, but you have not love.
It's just a noisy gong.
Yes, you have nothing.
It's a clanging cymbal.
That's right. And so, a guy like me who knows more theologically than him, there are definitely times where I don't love as much as he does. And he showed me so much love that night. And he has showed me so much love in our time together. And me and him have one more year next year together, and I look forward to it.
That's awesome.
I look forward to all my teammates.
That's a good teammate right there.
Yeah, he really is. And I have a lot of love and respect for him, as do the rest of us. Yeah. But that kind of thing is a great example of love. And how do we get that? Not by choosing, not by willing it, but by opening ourselves up to God. Change my heart.
Yeah.
make me more loving.
Yeah.
Like Solomon got his wisdom not through will, but through asking the Lord in a dream.
Lord, give me wisdom.
Lord, give me wisdom. And he was granted wisdom, unlike anybody we've ever seen.
What a wise request.
Yeah, what a wise request, isn't it? I think I thought about that too. It's irony. It's like you ask for wisdom, and I'm like, that's a kind of a wise thing to ask for. Yeah, which is just incredible. It's just incredible. So where can we ask God for love? Where can my heart change on this?
Yeah.
Your heart, when you have your heart changing, it's not easy. No, be careful when you ask God for a changed heart, because he'll be like, all right,
diving in.
Let's go. Because everything else about your life will change.
Yeah.
Your life my dad told me growing up, your life's a reflection of what you've done. I think your life is a reflection of what your heart has, what your heart is, and then the choices that you make from that.
For sure.
And so if you've led a life by anger and by hubris and by pride, all of a sudden, if you're trying to live a life that's more out of love and your heart's changing to that, all of a sudden, the life that worked for you before doesn't work for you anymore.
Yeah.
You can't live your old life when you've been given a new heart.
Yeah.
And so be prepared for the change that will happen when God gives you a new heart.
That's awesome.
Which I don't have to tell you that. I don't have to tell you.
We all need it. We all need it.
Absolutely, man. That's good. You have anything else for us? I kind of took over there. It's okay if you got something.
No. Not anything. Everything we talked about was good. We got deep.
Yeah, we did. That was my purpose of this. I wanted to get deep. Especially after the last week. Draken and Trevor, we palled around a little bit. Draken, if you ever meet him, he's just a fun dude to be around.
Good.
Shout out Dragon Majors. Smart guy, too. He's really... He talked about... He takes his daughter to school every Tuesday and Thursday, and they're going through... Proverbs, I think, together and they talk about it on the way to school, and I'm like, cool. That's so cool. I'm like, what a great dad.
What a great dad.
That's awesome. Shout out Dragon Majors, and then Trevor as well. He's fun. He kind of anchored up the podcast while me and Dragon were goofing off with a little bit of banter. Trevor stayed on topic pretty well, and so it was a nice. I think it's the only 3-man podcast I've ever done.
That's cool.
I did record one in January. But the audio didn't work.
No.
I'm so disheartened by this because it was such a good episode, which ended up just being a great conversation for us.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. But I'm so sorry that you guys did not get to see this. For some reason, God wanted it to be just an amazing conversation between the three of us, but not something the world needed to hear. That's all on him.
That's special.
It is. Well, Evan, thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you for the invite. I'm honored to be a two-timer now.
So. Absolutely. If we have anything come up, I'm always open to make it a 3-time. I'm always open. You're a great dude to have on here. Maybe I won't take over so much.
That's so funny.
I try not to take over, but
no, you do a great job hosting the podcast. You do a great job, and a great job trying to share God's love and wisdom and glory with everybody that listens. And
do my best.
Yeah, if I'm a 3-timer, I'll be an honor. It would be an honor.
Absolutely.
And if the Almost Athletes podcast wants to have me on with Dude Perfect, hit me up. That's a dream.
That does sound like fun. Is that the one you were on formerly, or
no? This is too big of a podcast for me to be on. But are you familiar with Dude Perfect?
I know Dude Perfect.
They have this. It's called the Almost Athletes podcast, and it's like relatively new. It just started up like a few months ago. But it is so stinking funny, and it's so awesome.
Really?
You need to take a listen to it.
I do need to take a listen to that. That sounds great. Yeah, that sounds really great.
I listen to it every Wednesday whenever it comes on, and I usually eat breakfast and listen to it. So that's good.
So it just came out this morning. At the time we're recording this. Yeah. Recording on a Wednesday.
Record on a Wednesday. Just hit me up if you want me to come on.
Yeah. Let's get them in the comments. Tag them. Share this episode with them. I don't know. I guess it's what normal podcasters do. Tag, share, whatever. I'm just like, if you guys do it, then you guys do it, and I appreciate it. Kind of let God run this podcast.
I know. Yeah, that's what all you can do.
100%. Thank you so much, Evan. I appreciate you. And I will see you soon.
Whenever you get back. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Can't wait. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Living for His Glory. I had such an amazing time making it, and I really hope it connected and impacted you on a significant level. I love making and recording episodes like these. I truly believe that they fulfill the Living for His Glory mission, which is to help you break free of your worldly chains and step into the person that God has called you to be. I love you guys. I hope you guys got a lot out of this. I hope that it changes something about how you do this week. I hope you have a good day and a good week as we continue to get ready for next week's episode. Have a good day, guys, and I'll see you later.